So I wanted to talk to you today about something that I've received probably more questions about than anything. And that is the Mandela Effect. Now, the Mandela Effect is very concerning for a multitude of reasons. But more importantly, it's concerning because of the way that facts have been changed. And I want to read to you from Proverbs 7. It says, "My son, keep my words and treasure up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and live. Keep my teachings as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on a tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call insight your intimate friend." So what this is saying is write the word, write the laws of the Father, not the laws of man, the laws of the Father, understanding these truths that you're learning, understanding the attributes of the Father, understanding how He operates, because as the great deceptions continue to roll out, as your fake Christs come, as your fake alien invasions come, as the false flags come, you're going to see and precisely know who is behind the wheel of those operations. Today, we have a great amount of concern as to this incredible deception that is coming. Now, I'm going to draw out and map out a couple different things because I think this is going to be very important for you to fully grasp why the Mandela Effect is important to understand how it functions. So twofold here. I'm going to be discussing the Mandela Effect, and I'm also going to be discussing the great deception that Christians right now are discussing. They're very concerned about the Luciferian agenda, about what's taking place. Pedophiles being pushed up on the pedestal, saying that we should be looking at pedophiles as people, and so this is a deceptive practice already in and of itself. So I'm going to get into that in detail, but first I want to cover the Mandela Effect, and I'm going to need the whiteboard to do that. So I first want to explain to you how quantum physics or quantum theory looks at the universe. Now understand that in our life, this is a very difficult thing for most people to grasp, and I'm going to try to keep this as simple in theory so you can understand this. Now, in our lives, there is, according to all physics tests, and even Einstein came up with this, that he discovered that there are multiple ways, multiple outcomes for every situation. So in one situation, I draw a line right there. And then in another one, in another universe, I don't draw a line right there. Because we live in multitudes of universes where the potential outcome has already happened. It also happens in a parallel universe. Now, this is physics, so please don't think that I'm talking about some fantasy or some sci-fi movie. This is very real. So if I could explain it this way, is that you have a universe here, and this is the universe that you and I live on right now, the universe that you're listening to, this right now. Underneath that universe, directly underneath it, is also another universe, which is exactly like our universe, with the exception of, in this universe, I didn't draw that line that you saw earlier. And that is the only variable that might be changed in this parallel universe. So if you switched from one to the other, it would be very difficult for you to even know that you were in a different universe because everything was exactly the same. Everything. But as you go, there is an infinite amount of universes. When I say infinite, I mean infinite amount of universes. That there is a universe just for that line that I drew. Now, underneath this, as I've said, there are infinite amount of universes, and these continue to go. Now, what causes such concern about these universes and the construction that we have. Stephen Hawking, who was a theoretical physicist, probably the most well-known and one of the smartest people that anybody has ever heard from, at least in this lifetime. And Stephen Hawking had great concern about CERN, because essentially in firing up the particle collider in Switzerland, the great concern that he had was that they could potentially blow up the universe, destroy everything, because the attempt that CERN was making was to discover and to manifest the God particle, essentially the creation of everything, the creation of the universe. And in finding that particle, that you would potentially destroy the universe in doing so. Trillions upon trillions of dollars have been put into the particle collider. Now, the particle collider that CERN has put together in Switzerland is a 27-mile track that essentially is a particle collider that they fire particles, light particles, at each other at such great speed and such great force that when they collide, that they create, essentially, in theory, would create a mini-universe. And in doing so, they could blow up the universe that is within it. Trying to keep this as simple as I possibly can. Now, I have proposed that CERN actually did blow up the universe. That this universe that we live on right here, this was blown up. And that they blew up the universe and potentially blew up multiple versions of it every single time they fired it up. And on this universe that I just removed that they blew up, the Bible said the lion lays down with the lamb. But on this universe, it's the wolf lays down with the lamb. So if you remove this one, now we all have shifted to this second universe. Now, the reason why it would become so well known, now there are probably many other things that have changed aside from that Bible verse. There are other Bible verses that primarily seem to target the King James Version of the Bible. Now, I would suspect that the reason that version of the Bible is targeted, it's not targeted because somebody is going after it. It would be targeted because it is the greater amount of consciousness of the people. So the greatest recognition of the Scriptures comes from the King James Version, since it was pushed so heavily by the Roman Catholics and by the Catholic Church, and primarily by the Protestants and the Roman or the English Empire, and then of course coming to America. So this is the greatest degree of consciousness. Those Scriptures are on our consciousness. So as far as our memory goes, we remember those Scriptures more than anything else. Now, also, part of that universe could have also been the Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker hearing from Darth Vader saying, "Luke, you're my father," and now he only says, "I'm your father." He doesn't say Luke. Now, I can tell you personally, from a person that comes from the entertainment business and have made multiple motion pictures, written screenplays, there's something called story structure. And part of story structure within screenplays is there is a pattern that you follow, things that you have to do, and things that, in order to garner the most attention or emotion out of a scene, that you would make something personal. So I can tell you right now that it is a fact that the screenplay would have been written, Luke, making it personal, "You're my father." Also, James Earl Jones has mentioned in interviews where he read that line for the first time, in which case, during these interviews, he said, "Luke, I'm your father," although that never happened. Never happened. Today, in our universe, that never happened. It doesn't exist in the movie. He does not say, "Luke, I'm your father," just like it no longer says the lion and the lamb. It now says the wolf and the lamb. So this is the only way that everything and every single page and every single Bible on earth could change. This is the only way. Let me just say that again. The only way that an entire universe where Lion and the Lamb was the reality to us was destroyed, that universe, and we dropped down to this universe where it's now Wolf and the Lamb. Now, I would say that we haven't just lost one universe. We're talking about infinite parallel universes. Infinite. So in this, we could have lost this one and this one and this one. And the very first car that Chevy made could have been a specific color, and people remember it as that color, but now it's a different color. So lots of different variations that we've seen. Now, that is the Mandela Effect in a nutshell, to help you understand what is going on and why it is important to write these things on your heart, because not just CERN is going to have an impact on these parallel universes, but the celestial objects that are taking place, the crack in the magnetosphere, the planetary bodies, the blue and red Kachina, these things are collapsing universes. These are powers that you cannot comprehend. They will collapse our universe because they are stars, they are dark stars, they contain different types of energies that we do not know of, that we are not fully aware of in this present form. We also have dimensions that are collapsing as a result of this as well. So when I say dimensions, is that spiritual bodies exist in the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and 7th, and 8th, and 9th, and 10th, and 12th dimensions. There are multiple dimensions that we cannot see. We only see in 3 dimensions. So if something is alive and living in the 4th dimension, we cannot see it. So as these dimensions compress, and I believe that this also has something to do with both CERN and with the planetary bodies coming, that these dimensions are also compressing. So we're seeing different types of clouds. We're actually seeing the results of wars and battles taking place in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensions. We're not seeing a complete manifestation of a vessel, and we're not seeing a complete manifestation of things, but we're going to. And they're fully expecting this to happen. The elite of this world know these things are happening. They are paying attention to these things because these are in the instruments of NASA. It's not like they're ignoring them. Just because they're not on your nightly news doesn't mean they're not news to them. This is big news for them. Trust me on this. So I want to talk to you with regards to that about the concern that the Christians have right now, because they're seeing all of these things taking place that they would call the Luciferian agenda. They're seeing the push to support pedophiles as they're real people too, and to be compassionate towards them. Now, let me just make this abundantly clear. I am not supporting pedophiles in any way, shape, or form, but I support mankind and the spirit of mankind in man. And I do support exactly what Christ says, which says, do not judge. So even though somebody has committed a crime that is despicable at levels that I can't even comprehend, I am not allowed to judge him because I don't know why he got there or how he got there or the results. I do not know how the enemy brought him captive. I have no clue. I do not get to judge him. That's so I don't judge myself. So regardless of how appetizing that might be to judge them, do not judge the person. They are sick just like you're sick. There is no greater degree or lesser degree of sin. It's all sin. You're born into it. This is all a big problem here. So with that said, you have this concern that Christianity is seeing that this Luciferian agenda is coming on board. The reality is the ones that are concerned about the Luciferian agenda are the Christians by and large. They are looking at the deep state situation as the Luciferian agenda, and that they feel that they're coming up against that Luciferian agenda in their political ambitions today. The reality of this is this. That Luciferian agenda is so good at deception that they are convincing those that have been following the Luciferian agenda, the very Christian churches, the very establishment. There is a church on every single corner in this state and all over this country pushing Luciferian agendas. And now those same institutions are saying, look at the Luciferian agenda. They're wrong. They are part of that agenda. So as we continue to go, I'm going to be mapping out and doing another video on the specifics of what they're looking at. Specifically about pedophilia. Specifically about the different items that they're concerned about. the things that the church is observing today as being the Luciferian agenda. Because as you begin to understand what they're pointing their finger at, you're going to see how the enemy is operating and going to be using the Christian church by and large to persecute people like myself and like you. You're also going to see a great degree of complete misunderstanding of the scriptures and of Christ, because as these collapse, as these universes continue to collapse, and believe me, they will. You haven't seen the last of the Mandela Effect. As these collapse, by and large, everything that people thought they knew will be doubted because it will not exist. And what you have written on your heart and what you know to be fact, what you know to be truth, is going to be the only truth that exists. It's not going to exist because it's written down somewhere. Now, as a result of this, I've created another channel. And this is aside from Red Letter Disciples, which is a channel with myself and Malia. But this channel is specifically your channel. It's not mine, it's not Malia's, it's your channel. It's about your testimonies. Because if you have a testimony of how this has altered your life, how these truths have completely altered your life and changed it, how it's stopped you from doing drugs, how it's stopped you from your sex addictions, how it's stopped you from your evil activities, whatever it has done, whatever this truth has caused in your life, your testimony is important. For me to receive your testimony in an email isn't helping anybody else. I know how powerful the truth can be because it's altered me. And when I hear it from you, it makes me feel good that it's altered you and changed you. But that testimony now needs to show someone else. So the channel that I've created is Sovereign Witness. And I'll create a link for it in the description box. I've already posted 4 videos that are testimonial videos. I have about 5 more that I'm going to be putting up there. I encourage you to record your testimony, the way that these truths are impacting your life. The reason why is because these testimonies, as things change for yourself, will also become a record for you. So you can go back and you can actually watch yourself tell these, and you can see the impact that your testimony has on other people's lives. Because that's what makes you stay and stand in the truth. Is that when the truth has altered you, and then your truth and your testimony now alters other people, now you are building a fortress around the truths that you have in your life, because it hasn't just impacted you, but it's made someone else's life better. This is your job. So I've created this channel that you can submit your videos, upload them to YouTube, and then send me a link at dbros@gmail, dbroes@gmail.com. Send me that link. I'll then upload that to this channel. Now, each person has a different testimony. One, this truth completely removed you from drugs. One, this truth completely altered you and your family, and everybody watches, that your family gathers around and watches these truths and live in them. Whatever your testimony is, it's important for other people to know, and it's more important for you to keep a record of this. So I encourage you to make the video testimonies, and let's place them on this channel. I love you very much, and I look forward to hearing from all of you very soon.